106.7 WIZN. It's the Highway to Mel, and I am joined by some special guests, recurring guests. At this point, I think I can say, because 8084 is in the house, represented by Andre and Randy. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
We got our own parking places now.
It's good to be here. It really is. And it's
I don't
nice.
even have a parking spot yet.
But isn't every guest special, Mel? I mean,
They are.
If you think about it, every guest is special. I mean, Wendy is here today, so she's special.
Yeah, I have the specialist guests in the studio. And talking about a pretty special thing that's going on, I'm going to stop using the word special because
Well, because
I don't want to give people the wrong idea about what this is, but there is a really cool idea that you had for a rock and roll high school. So how did this come up? What's the genesis of the birth of this whole program?
gee, that's a great question, Mel. Let me talk to Andre. Let's see if we can figure this one out.
Yeah,
No,
let's put our heads together.
You know, the bottom line was we were just thinking about over the years, the band has, between Frank and I and Andre and Gary at times too, we've talked about trying to do something for the community and kids, you know, and this isn't unusual that we talked about going to high schools or doing something even 20, 25 years ago. We just never put the plan into motion. Well, this time around, we decided, hey, we've got a perfect opportunity to do this. It would probably be, successful. And, at our age, being, 41, 41.
I mean, as a
41,
band?
yeah.
We've been around the circuit in the world a couple times, and there's probably some really good information, especially Andre, that he could share with budding musicians. And so it was one of those situations where we felt, if we could put something together and make it easy for us to kind of pass the torch, if you will, to the kids around the local high schools, then it might work out. So, that was kind of the idea. And back when we were kids, in fact, Andre actually wrote a song about this and recorded it. There was nothing like this.
Mm-hmm.
When you learn songs, we were talking about this the other day, there was no CDs, there was no MP3s.
Right.
So you took the needle on the record and played the same part over and over and over and over.
And over, yeah.
And to write the lyrics down, either. You couldn't go online and grab the lyrics.
No,
so you
gosh,
had to
yeah.
stop the thing.
Kids
and
today
write.
have it so easy.
Yeah. So, but along with that, it's just that we had to pay a lot of we didn't know what we were doing when we started. We had an idea, but we learned by making mistakes.
Yeah, you have a lot of skin in the game when you start. When we did back then, we didn't have the YouTube or a lot of the other resources that are available now. And I don't want to say this indelicately, but it's almost made the process it could be a little lazy in your approach because you don't have the skin in the game where, again, you're spending hours picking up the needle, putting it back down, picking up the needle, putting it back down, as opposed to watching a YouTube video of somebody playing a lick slowly.
Right. Yeah, and of course, now you've got things like YouTube where the deep boredom that forced me to pick up a book and actually plink out some tunes on a piano, like a lot of kids, thankfully, in some ways, don't have that today. But at the same time, they're missing something in that. But I think the good thing is that you're going and reaching out to them directly. What is it, 11 high schools that you're talking to in the area?
Yeah, we looked at a map. We can do that. We can look at maps, and we kind of drew the circle thing. No, we didn't do that. We just looked at I did a Google search for high schools within 50-mile radius of Burlington, Vermont, and we came up with 11 schools. And so we reached out to Andre is good friends with Eric Bushy, who's the music director at BFA St. Albans, and just tried to have a conversation with him, see what he thought. And we got his input. He thought it was a great idea. In fact, he actually sent the final email out to all of the other 10 schools to talk about the program. So it's it's one of those things that I think that if I were a kid and I could go see a band, now maybe I don't even like their kind of music, but the history of 8084 is pretty cool. I mean, 40 years of playing together, and we're still here.
And you guys are so tied into the community here, and so well known that you've kind of reached a level of infamy, you know.
Well, we're
in the
legends
local
in
area.
our own mind.
Right? Yeah, you.
Cradle
Well,
to the
in some
grave.
other people's minds too. I mean, there are definitely other people in the area who I think
Well,
would
we
agree
paid
that
3
you
or
guys
4
are
people to
legends.
be supportive. So,
That's good.
but,
That's good.
y-
Well, they're
yeah, I-
working hard for you. But the first deadline in this is coming up pretty close, right? You're gonna announce October 1st the winners of like this whole program who are gonna have some special access that I mean,
We are?
kids dream about, right?
We are, right?
Oh, we are.
That's what we're hoping for. So 11 high schools, 2 students from each school, 3 free tickets per student. So it comes
Nice.
out to about 60, 66, something like that. I don't know. I can't do math. I'm a musician.
Right.
But not a magician. Yeah, so they get to come to the show. They get in early at 4:30 before anything happens when we're doing our sound check.
It's a peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, it's like a
Right,
peek
yeah.
behind the curtain. So, you know, they come in the side door. We'll have somebody there to greet them. We'll do a little bit of an impromptu Q&A. We'll do a sound check if they want to walk around on stage and see Andre's gear. I mean, Andre, I know he's standing here, but
I am.
But aside from that, you know, we're talking about a guy that has endorsements from some of the major companies, guitar companies. He's been nominated for a Grammy. I mean, I don't know if you know this or not, but he just missed the slot as a guitar player in Kiss before 8084. I mean, so
Wow.
there's all sorts of cool things that he has to offer. You know, me, not so much. Who wants to talk to the singer? But Andre, you know, has a lot of things. Plus, Gary, as a drummer, you know, just his techniques and things. What does he?
There are
use for
3
gear?
bands in Vermont that Gary doesn't play with.
Right. Yeah. he definitely plays with quite a few. Well, I mean, that's pretty cool stuff because really, when you're doing the sound check part, that helps a lot of people who are interested in various aspects of it. Because I mean, I know how to run this kind of a board, and so I've been talked in by bands to running sound for them. And it's really cool once you learn how to take all of those channels and kind of merge them all into one sound and
Yeah.
how that works. And so that's a really cool skill to even just know how to do. And then you can, hire yourself out,
Yeah.
Getting around the guitars, getting around the drums, getting around the singer, all of that. I think that kids at this, and I hasten to call them kids, young adults at this age,
Yeah.
right? Or teenagers are just sponges, I feel like, for that kind of information at this point. And some of them have these big dreams, but no concept of the reality of what it actually
Yeah,
is.
Exactly.
it's-
Or what's involved.
I was going
Right.
to say, you're sort of tying in the technology with the artistry too.
Yeah.
Knowing all the technical aspects behind what we're doing, as well as just there's a performing aspect, there's a musicality thing, but there's also a lot of technical jargon and there's a lot of technical information that would be really helpful for students.
Yeah, and I think that having just the visual aspect of seeing this, I don't know if you guys are doing this, but the fact that you've got some soundboards that are tied into tablets and you are sitting there adjusting as you're walking around the space is one of those things that I think that to younger people today, seeing how that technology interacts with that is just a wonderful way of making it real for them, right? Because there's this idea that you have of like, I'm going to be a star, I'm going to be a superstar, I'm going to be, a musician, that it kind of makes it real when, like you're saying, that they're backstage, they're walking around the equipment, they're seeing what's involved in this, and they're able to engage with you and talk to you about that process. And really, I just feel like those dreams are going to go big.
Yeah, well, there's also and that's a great point, Mel. There's the dedication to your instrument too.
Right.
When I started, I didn't care. I was just like, I'm getting into this because girls dig singers, and I was thinking I'm 15 years old.
That's a good reason for a 15-year-old. Yeah.
It was perfect. But as time went along, I realized that you actually have to have a skill set. You have to work
Yes,
at this. And
yeah.
if you're going to stay playing music for 40 years together, there's got to be something more than, because we don't have auto-tune back then. And we don't use anything like that, So you had to really be able to play. And I think a lot of times, based on, what Andre said earlier, is that people don't realize that there's actually a work ethic involved. So just, maybe just talking to Andre about how often he practices, or the same with, even singing. I have to sing every
Right.
day for at least an hour. I've been
Yes.
doing this since March.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be ready for the show, but
Nice.
I wasn't going to allow anything and Andre's the same way. We don't want to go on stage and have to think. We just want to be able to play and have fun.
Right. You get ready. You keep yourself ready. As a person who's behind a microphone every day, I completely understand. I can't go to a show and scream as much as I want to. I can't go to a show and scream because I won't have a voice the next day.
Yeah.
And you got to keep that instrument ready because you're going to need it. And, and Andre, how many hours do you practice, like within a day or a week or?
Usually at least a couple. I mean,
Yeah.
there's never a time where I don't have a guitar on if I'm not doing something. If I'm watching the Red Sox lose or something, I'll have a guitar on.
Here's a little losing ditty for the Red Sox.
Yeah. Wait till next year, Andre.
Yeah, it's the Red Sox. Yeah, wait till next year. But no, I mean, I feel weird, almost naked if I don't have a guitar on. My wife will attest to that.
Oh, and that's a bad visual. Let
we'll
me
be
tell you.
we'll be
Right, yeah.
sitting there, watching a movie or something, and of course I'll be plinking away. And she's remarkably tolerant about that. She's got used to it. She's built up a
Right.
tolerance.
Yeah.
Yeah, try to imagine Andre sitting there naked with a guitar on, playing in front of the Red Sox,
There's
right, Linda?
definitely a visual for you.
Yeah.
Yes, ladies, go ahead and think it. It's okay. I give you permission.
I'm leaving now. I can't stand this visual.
All right. On that note, so what we've got coming up is October 1st. That is when the kids are going to be selected from the program. They're going to be given those tickets, and then they get set up for the pre-sound check, the Q&A with the band, the tour of the stage pre-show, and then they also get a free bag of 808 merch.
Swag, man. Who
Swag.
doesn't like
Who
free
doesn't love a
swag, right?
bag, right?
Swag bag.
Swag bag.
And-
And then,
And then, of
we,
course,
we got to boot them out the door because we got a whole bunch of VIPs that paid to come in early.
that's right.
So we're doing that, but then they can come back in that night and bring either their parents or friends or whatever. They got 3 free tickets. Come back and see the show.
Try to impress a date, like, hey, I'm in with the band. These are my
With
people.
the band, man.
Wearing, of course, their merch. They better,
me
wear
tell
at
you, it
least some of
works.
it.
It
So
works.
November 12th is the date that we're working toward. That's when you guys are playing. That's when the VIPs are coming in. That's when I'm definitely going to be there and rocking out with you guys. I might take the day off the day after, and because I might have to yell. It's gonna because 8084 Higher Ground and Rock and Roll High School going to be a part of this. Where is there a place where people can go to get more info on this? Is it your website or?
Facebook right now, social media. We just
Oh,
put a
right. Yeah,
we
you
just
guys
put
are
a
doing-
video out yesterday explaining it. The schools have been contacted. We reached out to the local media other than WIZN because, by the way, WIZN, you guys have been so good to us. You have always been good to us, and it's wonderful. We're trying to get some. It'd be wonderful if we could pick up one of the TV stations to give us a little bit of support because it's a pretty cool thing. I mean,
It's a very
tickets
cool
aren't.
thing, yeah.
When we say we're going to give you tickets, we're paying for the tickets because believe me,
Yeah.
that's our deal with when we do a venue like this, the venue is getting part of this too. So in order to do this, we actually have to purchase our own tickets. So there's we're going to purchase 60 tickets.
Yeah,
Bam.
yeah, I
So-
definitely agree. You guys are doing a great thing. I'll talk to some of the TV people I know. I can't promise anything, but I know from one rocker to another, we are going to definitely do what we can to make sure that this word gets out and that people are out there and that people are, we're trying to share your Facebook stuff, but you're posting so darn much. I need to hire an intern to
I'm
manage.
trying not to. I've
manage the sharing of all your stuff on Facebook.
We'll get you the Cliff Notes version.
Thank you,
Can
yeah.
we mention somebody from another TV station? Is that okay during the course of this? I mean, like it'd be really cool. I can see Darren Perrin doing
Yeah.
shots with us at Tequila and and being on stage. Can't you see that happening?
Darren is a party animal. I could definitely say, he keeps it together in front of the camera. But
I've heard this.
I've had some times with Darren.
Guy's
I'm not
gonna-
going to reveal any of them.
He's got a
So we're on
rocking
the street.
haircut too.
Yeah, I'm going to save that for the memoirs. But
The Melwars.
The Mel Wars.
the memoirs, yeah. Well, this is so great. I'm very happy to do this. I love the fact that you are getting kids involved in this. As a parent, I would love to have had some of my oldest daughter who actually loves guitar, be a person who is possibly being involved in this or invested in this. But I don't mind that it's somebody else's kid. It's great. I think it's just fantastic.
Oh, bring
And
her.
You're doing wonderful work. I probably will bring
Then
her.
he won't do the tequila. So
Well, she's old enough to drive, so.
Hey, one thing too. Can I cover one other thing?
Yeah,
I know,
absolutely.
like we had the same conversation with you here about 3 or 4 years ago, where we weren't going to play together anymore.
Yeah.
Well, here we are. Here we are playing together. Well, there's a reason for that.
Never say never.
Well,
Yeah.
we shouldn't have said never, but there's something magical about the journey we've taken together that, the most fun I actually have is not necessarily playing on stage. It's rehearsing with these guys.
Yeah.
It's a hoot. I mean, because we have this, we've got a chemistry together it's like a family. So we couldn't stay away from each other kind of a thing.
It's like Thanksgiving and we're all drunk uncles.
You're the drunk uncle in the every one of you. Well, no, the great thing is I see you guys sharing these, images from your meetings that you have. And I wish that I had regularly Zoom meetings that were that much fun, because a lot of the times I'm just sitting there shaking my head. No, I'm only shaking my head to try to stay awake. I'm actually,
I
you
think
guys are enjoying
Mel
it.
set up a loop. He's
I might have the knowledge on how to do that. But anyway, people can pay me if they need help with that. But I think you guys definitely have a great thing going. You have an energy going. And hey, you know what? One thing that Andre picked up from KISS is you can retire a lot of times.
yeah,
Yeah.
good money in that, I hear.
Well, if this goes well,
Yeah.
and we feel like it's going to, the ticket sales have been incredible. So
That's great.
we're figuring if this works well, it's a good. Maybe we can replicate this and do it again, do more shows next year. So I don't think this is the end of it may. I'm not going to say we're going to have a bunch of shows in Vermont next year, but we might.
It's the end of a chapter, not necessarily the end of the book.
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
Yeah. So your story's not over.
Stay tuned for the sequel.
All right. So November 12th, we got the show at Higher Ground. All of this great stuff with Rock N Roll High School that's working its way toward that. And I thank you guys for coming and telling us more about this. And I just think it's a great thing for the community that you were doing, and nobody forced you, which is kind of weird for a lot of people out there to be like, hey, nobody made you do this. You're choosing to. That's great.
If everybody stopped and started, got up in the morning every day and showed a little gratitude for where they are and what can I possibly do today to affect somebody else's life positively? And that's kind of the way it doesn't sound very rock and roll, but it sounds very mature, doesn't it?
It does sound very mature, but you guys are paying it forward in a very rock and roll kind of way. And I thank you for it.
Well, we thank you, Mel, as the world turns.
You never know where it's going to turn to. Yeah.
As Mel's world turns.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
And
you.
we're going to wrap it up.
The Highway to Mel. Oh, yeah! 106.7 WIZN.